both the New African Woman and the New African magazines. And congratulations for the peaceful entry into State House. And I just on my personal level, welcome to very freezing London. And it's really nice. And thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I do appreciate. This is not going to be like a very neat and gritty, but I just want to welcome you because what people want to know, Zambia has got a new First Lady, and you are not very private because we know that His Excellency has been in the game for quite a while, but you have been quite, a lot of people don't know who Dr. Kaseba is. So, now that, you know, I don't know if you had the opportunity to give the First Lady.
No, I had that. I just looked at them and thought you were safe grounds.
How do you know that? Safe when I haven't looked at them? When I haven't even looked at them?
That's what I'm here, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'll actually start really as an icebreaker just to know who is Dr. Kaseba and what is she really like?
Dr. Kaseba, I guess, is a typical Zambian girl, very proud to be Zambian. I've spent most of my time growing up in Zambia. I was born in Chimwemwe, Kitwe, and I went to school at Mindolo Girls. By then it was Mindolo Girls, because that's the girls' school. And from there I went to campus, finished, and I guess I've been to most places, but at the end of the day, Dr. Kaseba is just a simple Zambian. And as you said, Du's been very, very private. I think I'm very media shy, and it's worked out quite well. You know, we sort of balanced my privacy with his face always being on the media, and because people never really knew who I was able to get as much information from people, or really get a lot of information from different fields of life, because they never knew me, so they were able to speak truthfully and very objectively. Unlike now, now people have to start thinking twice what they're going to say when, you know, in my presence, and sometimes it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. I want to be me.
Yeah, and does it change who you are now that the status has changed? We know that you can say that yes, I'm media shy, but we don't want you to be media shy anymore, because we've had 3 First Ladies now coming and doing what they do, what they have done, and you will be thrown into that limelight for some. So, how do you see your life changing now that you have actually come into State House?
You know, as somebody said, I went to sleep with 4 children, woke up with 13 million children the next day, and you know, it can be a bit awesome, mind-blowing, and it's always very difficult because I've been sort of a free spirit. I did what I wanted to do when I felt like doing it, and now it's very different. I have to think twice before I do anything. I have to think twice before I say anything, and it can be a bit nerve-wracking, I guess. You know, when you want to remain private, but somehow you know that you can't always remain private. You've got to give a little bit to the public. I guess because, as you said, you know, people want to know who the First Lady is, and hey, it's daunting. It's a daunting task. Yeah.
And have you got any safeguards? Are you coming in with definitely, probably you have planned what you want to do, because I know that when President Bush visited and the former First Lady of America visited, there was a lot of talk about you going into, probably my fact check there is not right, but it's the red and pink ribbon for cancer. And do you feel like, because you're coming with a medical background, you're under pressure to probably say, well, she's going to do something with maybe it's maternal health, is it going to be children? What do you bring into State House apart from being the first lady?
I don't think it will actually be considered as being under pressure. This is something I thought would be worthwhile for me to do something that I am familiar with.
Yes.
You know, as opposed for me doing legal things when I understand very little of legal matters. And as I have sort of started to adapt into this office, I was very clear what my mission was. My mission was really to concentrate on maternal health. And, you know, it's become very obvious. Even before, well, I became First Lady, I knew that, no, you can't tackle health on its own. There are a lot of other factors that do affect health. You know, we've got issues of poverty, we've got issues of gender disparities, gender inequalities, we've got issues of economic empowerment. So, you know, there are a lot of things, and I thought I would concentrate on maternal health. But lo and behold, as I'm starting to adapt, I've come to realize that there are a lot more needs. And I've reached a point where I'm thinking, how do I proceed from here? But the core will be health. If I'm going to do anything really focusing, I need to focus on maternal health, because, as I said, this is what I do, this is how I feel I have an advantage over. I'll be able to, I think even before, I think in the 2008 I said, I think it would be better to work with the existing NGOs. But having gotten there, I found that it's a totally different ballgame, because as First Lady, people hold you in high esteem and they expect a lot from this office, which is not funded by government, which is not funded by anyone. But the people outside do believe in this office. And I found that, you know, there's been a lot of requests from different NGOs, and I'm asking myself, how do I work with these NGOs? Yes. At the end of the day, you know, we've got 1,000,001 NGOs in Zambia, all wanting some form of help. And they approach the First Lady's office. And if you've got to help them, you know, you've only got a few people locally who can help. I mean, you can write to them and say, can you help this NGO? But then how do you get the local NGOs, the local corporate world, to be able to help the local NGOs with transparency and, you know, ensure good governance? And I've come to realize that, you know, I mean, people don't like giving money to the First Lady as a person. They would rather give to an organization. And if I am not in control of that organization, I mean, I can be sort of maybe the go-between, but then I'm not really able to give enough support, or I do not have the leeway to be able to ensure that I am monitoring the proper use of this money if I'm not in the organization. And some have asked me to be patron, but I can't be patron 301 thing, because I won't be effective.
Yes.
So I'm trying to think. I mean, I've looked at the other First Ladies, and a lot of them have formed foundations as a channel of attracting funds from not only within the country, but from outside the country. And if you look at what has taken place in the previous First Ladies that had foundation, they become so political that at the end of the tenure, I've sort of seen a lot of cervical cancers. I've seen how devastating this can be, and I also know that I sponsored somebody to be the one to look at this pap smears, but that was really too laboratory intense method, and having one person was not enough to cater for the whole country. And you know, recently WHO has come up with something, a tool which can be used in the low resource countries, and it's really simple to use, and Zambia has taken it up on its, on its own with the help of the U.S. government through CIDAS, the Center for Infectious Disease Research, and they've been training nurses, how to screen women using acetic acid. And it's really working out well. The model that has been developed within Zambia is really good. But this has only been restricted to Lusaka, and they are now just going on to Luapula. Other countries have not even taken it up. And yet it's a very cost-effective tool, in place of pap smears. So this is something that I would love to really push and be able to convince governments to spend money.
And that also comes with educating the women themselves.
Educating the women, yes.
We live in a very patriarchal kind of society, so convincing them that it's okay, actually,
it's okay.
You can go and get tested, it won't affect your marriage.
Okay. I'm just coming from the Netherlands, and it took time. It's not going to take 1 year, 6 months. I don't know, but in Netherlands it took some time, and they are now able to give the human papilloma virus vaccines, because we know that the HPV, cancer of the cervix is really closely associated with this virus, HPV. And you can prevent the HPV infection by giving vaccinations. The only thing is you've got to give it to very young girls before they become sexually active. And a lot of times there's a lot of resistance from the parents, because to them it's like you are teaching them.
It was here as well. Actually, it's not just in Zambia, because we had the same issues in schools here when they tried to offer that to under 16s. A lot of parents were not happy to say, no, this is not the schools, So I can understand.
So, and I guess trying to convince governments that it's cost effective to treat cancer. It might not be the #1 killer, but it drains a lot of resources caring, because it's a chronic condition. Patients are in and out and so on. With malaria, you can treat it once, 3 days, 4 days, they are better. So really, people have to know the difference. I guess, politicians understand costs. Then the other issue I'm looking at is maternity protection. There was a convention actually by ILO, which was signed by a lot of countries, but only 2 countries have ratified it on maternity protection. And it borders on giving pregnant women who have delivered more time to nurse their babies.
What is it called?
Convention 183. ILO Convention 183. It's on maternity protection. Zambia, we did well because there was an earlier convention which said we needed to give 12 months. But the Convention 183 expanded it to 14 months, plus the fact that companies should be able to make their environment less stressful for a pregnant woman as well for a nursing woman. So that would mean creating nursing rooms and so on. There's been a lot of resistance from employers, because to them they will need to pay longer somebody who is not working. And I'm trying to push this because at the end of the day, a satisfied woman is a better employee when she comes back. More productive, And if people are really, they think it's too long, I'm trying to see whether we could work with companies to be able to become more flexible and let women work from home. With the new ICT era now, a lot of things can be done home. But at the end of the day, I don't know whether employers would prefer having a mother come back at 12 weeks, and then when a child gets sick, they go back. Because even if she's going to be there, her mind will be at home, and she's not going to be productive. So that's one issue I'm really pushing.
It's a good one. Actually, it's good. I don't know about Convention 183.
Because back home we're still giving 3 months.
Yeah, we're still giving 3 months. And the other issue has been how do we deal with the informal sector? In Zambia, most women working in the informal sector, you know, they are house servants. And I'm also trying to talk with the community ministry to see whether some form of social safety net can be put up, so that if the employer only pays for 3 months, can we have some insurance kind of scheme which employers can, like a pension, which pregnant women can be drawing from, just for that extra 2 weeks or extra month, you know, so that we reduce the strain on the employers. Because I mean, I do understand, if I'm the one who is employing a house servant, I don't think I would want her to go away for 4 months. And what I'm trying to also tell the employers is that, you know, we need to start planning. You know, we've seen what happens with the women when the women are heads. When you give a woman any responsibility, you know, they really tend to take it very seriously. And I've seen companies really turning over. You know, it's just taking a positive route once you have a woman. So we could start planning for such things.
And you have a third one? The
third one is maternal mortality. We need to stop women dying from pregnancy while giving birth. You know, even after they've given birth. And I'm hoping that government will be able to make maternal mortality a notifiable condition, the way we did it with TB. You know, if somebody had TB, you reported the case. So even for maternal deaths, I think we need to start reporting them and be able to investigate them confidentially, so as to improve the care that we're giving. A lot of times, I think, you know, the fact that, you know, a study which was done by it's a long time, 1998, but the factors that were identified then are still the same things that are still going on. You know, a lot of women are reaching our centers and dying within our centers, whether, you know, maybe we don't have time to really manage them okay, but we can be able to save a few that are reaching our centers. So that goes in with a lot of education, it goes in with a lot of input by government, and we can only start appreciating the dimension of this problem if we are able to know how many women are actually dying from childbirth.
And you mentioned these three, which are really, really very prominent and very, very important issues about many things. The women factor, which we hope in the future we have more Johnson science. I mean, I always keep coming back to this question of, you know, our societies being very patriarchal. You now being in the hot seat, should I call that? Do you think the attitudes are changing in our societies as we bring up, you know, children who are... we've got an interview with Angelique Kijo. She's mentioning stuff like, you know, we need to be teaching our young ones as they're growing young that you are a boy, yes, but you can make your bed. You know? You know, so it's the attitudes that, you know, concern that people have got all these ideas. We talk about all these ideas. But at the end of the day, our societies remain very, we still, you know, all the harmful practices that go on. And I know Zambia, we are not as bad but we do have issues like for maternal death, for example. Is it because some causes of it is because of FGM, as other people would call it? There could be so many other limiting factors.
I think for Zambia, really, it all boils down to who makes decisions at home. If you look at a lot of women that have died, there's been a lot of delay in making a decision when to go and seek medical help. And a lot of times, I'm sure even our man here, you know, when the wife is sick, she won't be able to go. She'll be waiting hours. You know, Zambia took on, interacted with a lot of men in the rural areas. Even when you talk about family planning, the men might say, no, let's only have 2 children. And the woman, but then I guess anyway, I can't blame the women because they will say, let's have 2 children. They will go to another person, they will have another 2 children. And for a woman, you know, with the men have to remain true to the word that once they marry somebody, they will love that person. And keep assuring the woman that I love you. You know, for a long time we've been brought up to believe that, you know, you show your love by having children. You know. So I guess it's going to take some time. We also need to change in the way we deliver our services to really be accommodating to the men. If you go to labor wards, to most labor wards, you find there's in the next bed there's somebody's wife. There will be blows exchanged. There will be blows. So I think I'm hoping that as they build the newer facilities, they're going to take that into consideration. We've seen some positive returns in the HIV testing in centers where they are requesting the men to accompany their wives. Some are, and the number is increasing. So I don't think it's cast in stone that no, we are patriarchal and the men do not want to help. Yeah, so I think I'm optimistic. I used to feel very jittery finding his son in the kitchen. Why do you become like a woman?
Things are changing. Now that you bring back His Excellency, yeah, in Zambia. I mean, it's still making headlines wherever you go, they still talk about just the way it has happened, that it has taken this long, that you don't actually give up. Things still happen, and there's been other comparisons, and just so exciting to have Dr. Guy Scott come in. That has also upped the ante, so it's another story. But what I want to ask you is, how do you, as a leader,
if there's somebody who is very passionate about what he does, it's him. And I'm not talking just about him as my husband, because I remember even before we met, I was a young doctor, an intern, and on us, and he actually came up and spoke so much in support of doctors that I was even very shocked. Yeah, he wasn't even governor then; he was just an MP, and he really supported very strongly the cause of the doctors and said, do something. Threatening him, he stood his ground. And that's how the tenacity that he has, Once he believes in something, he wants to deliver. He's a very compassionate person, and he feels the pain of most of the people. If you, God willing, we keep praying that He'll give him more years. To be able to turn everything, and be able to sort of reach out to a lot of people to understand what he believes in and how he wants it to be. But even in his thoughts, and probably that's why, if you gave him anywhere to stand up, you'll be able to talk, because, he's very logical. And his life has always been like that. So I think as a leader, he's actually very visionary. And he will reach far. He will reach far. He's always, so many years later, then it comes to pass, and then they'll say, oh, this is what he was talking about. Yeah.
And is he as blunt as he comes across, like, say it as it is?
That's the way he's always been. He doesn't, because they spade. And,
yes.
He is a very patient person if everything is going on well and in the ways he thinks it should be done, and especially when he knows that is correct. So maybe this is why he comes out as brusque, when he's talking to, and very abrupt. People always say, oh no, he's quarrelsome. He's not quarrelsome. He believes things should be done in this way, and this, he sticks to the right person. And people find it very difficult to understand this. I mean, if you came home, he's a totally different person. He rarely screams, I am the bad person in the house. I'm the bad person. To him, the only time he'll probably scream is if people are making
that house now. Have you brought your own personal touch to it? Are you changing anything? How is your day like? Give me an example of a day in the life of the Satas outside governance, just like as a family state house.
We have continued what we've always been. Mr. Sata, even from the time the kids were young, he believed, and he used lunch as a way of making kids get to know our traditional foods, and also be able to just socialize as a family. And supper is usually, an individual affair. You'll be somewhere at a workshop, you never eat at the hotel, you have to rush back.
Go and have lunch.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Yeah.
And he also eats very simply. He doesn't love spicy foods, and he's very set in his cook like that, cooking for 100 people, and he keeps shouting at them. This is your tax. I don't know, I'm not paying tax now, but this is your tax. And sometimes it's they find it very difficult to comprehend, because he will complain about small things, to a point that they're looking at him and say, where has this person come from? I mean, the previous president, the money we used to spend, was just too much. But now it's different. You can't change a lot in terms of the way a state house looks. I would love to be given that the place is actually in a disrepair. When we looked at it, the kitchen, the kitchen cabinets were all falling off. There's nothing much. I mean, you don't, you get into that state house, you think, like you have the but there's nothing. You go and so on. There are leaks, yes. So, and they haven't done much because they couldn't do much that time, because the budget had not been passed. So they only repaired the kitchen doors. And this is what people, or whatever. Yes. I don't know. Anyway, we are not privy to the tender, because it was Works and Supply. Anything that So people are making a lot of noise, but there wasn't much that was done. So State House, the renovation is done by Works and Supply. They do the tenders and everything. Yeah.
It's a family home at the end of the day.
But at the same time, it's also it's a face of Zambia. Yeah. So you really want to make it look like a Zambian, museum. You need art, Zambian art. You need a lot of things.
Actually, just one more question.
Okay.
Just one more. I just wanted to ask on the question of politics. Do you have? We know. The late President, Mrs. Manawasa, had political ambitions. Are you political at all? Do you have any political ambitions?
My politics remain at being a housewife. The bedroom critic. It's enough politics. At least I am the opposition in the house. So I think that's enough.
Keeping him in check.
Keeping him in check. You hear what people are saying, and at least you'll be able to say, oh no, I don't think, okay, it's a different one. And offering some solutions, and I wish it's all about our country having one Zambia, and we are all fighting to improve the livelihood of Zambians. And there's nothing wrong in criticizing, but there's something wrong when you criticize and you don't offer solutions, and you hope somebody is going to see what you're saying if you don't offer solutions.
No opportunity, and it's really nice to meet you. I hope to see you soon in Lusaka.
Yes.
I do.
Come to Zambia and contribute.
Definitely.
Yes.
Fantastic.